All right, guys, we're gonna roll through quick a little layout of my spring walleye fishing lures and a lot of modifications that I do to them. I'm definitely a tinkerer. I like to modify things, touch them up, make them work for me specifically, and just to make them different from what everyone else is throwing, or a little bit different things, and even to just get them to perform better. First, I guess we'll start with your standard Rippin Rap. I think this is probably what Green Bay is known for the best, is our spring walleyes on Rippin Rap. Super fun way to catch them. But one thing I do with these lures, as soon as you pull them out of the package like this, you'll see that there's a larger treble here on the front than on the rear. And when we're dealing with a lot of these zebra mussels here, and a lot of our fish are starting to get more and more pressure, I do like to make a slight modification to these. If you want to keep it simple, all I'll do is I'll switch the front hook and the back hook just so I have a larger hook here on the back. I'd say I catch 90% of my fish in a Rippin Rap just on that back hook. And if the fish do end up eating the whole entire bait, you're definitely going to have, 2 good hooks into the fish. So, and with that as well, the smaller belly hook is the one that always seems to get more of the zebra mussels or pick up anything on the bottom. So having that larger hook in the back and a little bit smaller hook here in the belly is going to eliminate picking up so much debris and not fouling as many of your casts. Now, if you want to make this even a better upgrade, I really like the VMC Hybrid Trebles, depending on the size. And again, I'll do a smaller one on the belly and then a larger one on the back. But the cool thing about these is that when you look at these hooks, they're a short shank, but at the top, they have this little bit of a curvature to them on the way in. So what happens is when these baits land on the bottom and there's all these zebra mussels around, they've got that little bit of a curve at the top, and they're not nearly as prone to hooking into zebra mussels or catching that stuff. So you're not going to follow up your bait on a big long cast, or if we're fishing in deep water, then you got to reel up, make a new cast. It burns a lot of time. So these hybrid trebles, not only are they super sticky, they're a really good hook, a little bit nicer, wider gap, but that curvature at the top of it, that kind of EWG look, is really nice for the walleyes and for dealing with these zebra mussels. I'll always switch those out. You can do it with the split ring pliers. I can just do it with my fingernail, but it's really nice little modification, and it's a really, really nice hook. All right, so when it comes to the 2 Rippin Rap sizes that I primarily use is going to be the number 7, our bigger one, and then our other one size smaller, the number 6. So number 6 is a 1/2 ounce, number 7 is 7/8 of an ounce. And when I'm swapping these out, we're going to put a number 6 here on the back of the number 6 Rippin Rap, and then put a number 8 on the belly. And then with the 7, the little bit bigger one, we're going to put a number 6 on the belly and number 5 on the rear. One other modification I do like to make to these Rippin Raps as well, if you want to do something a little bit different, is doing an X-Wrap tail, or even the bladed or the real hybrid bladed treble hooks. I've got a big selection of stuff in here for different colors. Our Green Bay fish here are super picky, so I've actually got a lot of these blades painted, coppers, antifreeze, golds, purples, all kinds of stuff just to modify that bait. The blade on the back will make the bait fall a little bit slower if that's something that you're looking for. But I really like having the blades. There's definitely times where fish prefer that. They come silver, which works great, but then I took it to another level and got some different colors mixed in here as well. And then the X-Wrap tail here on the top, I actually bought all of these ones as white, and all I did was take a Sharpie to them, and then I can make them all the different colors, right? Our fish out here love purple, they love antifreeze, gold, a little brown copper look to them. And again, just to make your bait look a little bit different. It's an easy modification. I've got them all laid out here in my boxes. Easy to get to, easy to switch out, and just makes your bait stand out from the crowd. The next 2 baits I want to talk about are hair jigs. Now, these are something that have come on really strong here in the last few years. They're getting more and more popular. We've been using them for a long time, but there's a handful of modifications I do like to make to these as well. We got 2 different ones here. We've got the VMC bucktail jig and the VMC moontail jig. I really like these jigs. They're both really nice, but if you look at the 2 different sizes of these, your bucktail jig has a little bit different style head. It's a little bit more round and a little bit shorter profile with the bucktail, versus the moontail jig is more of that aspirin shaped head, and then the tie itself is a little bit longer. Now, being from Green Bay and we're fishing around a lot of gobies where it's our primary food source, I definitely kind of prefer out of the package the bucktail jig profile and look more, a little bit wider head, looks like those gobies down there, big wide head, and then generally a pretty short body. Just love the shorter profile. There's coming a bunch of awesome colors from Rapala. This is one of my favorites, is purple, chartreuse, and white. Fish absolutely love these things, and you can fish them just like this. Now, there is some more modifications that I make to these that I'm gonna share with you guys. One other thing I'm gonna add to these jigs is a stinger hook. These are something that I personally tie. I do these right in my basement, but I tie all these stinger hooks myself. I'm gonna tie these with one of those VMC hybrid trebles. This is number 8 here in the back. Again, it's got just that wide gap. It's got a super strong hook shank or points to them, And again, that little bit of a curvature at the very top of these hybrid trebles eliminates some of the zebra mussels you pick up and other things on the bottom, and do a really good job of catching these fish. Now with the stingers, you can also get a little bit more fancy if you like, and I'll even take it to the next level where I'll tie on some of those VMC hybrid trebles with the blade on the back, the bladed ones. Now we're gonna get a little bit of flash out of the tinsel that's in the bait, but then you also get a little spin and vibration and flash out of that bladed hybrid treble there in the back. So crankbaits are probably one of the first lures ever designed, or really popular baits for fishing walleyes. Now there's a lot of different things you can do with these, a lot of different ways you can fish them. Today we are casting these. This here is just your standard Rapala size 14 husky jerk, big profile stick bait. Generally you're gonna want more of your stick baits in the spring or the fall when your water temperatures are really cold. You're just gonna have a really subtle roll to the bait. They don't kick super hard. It's a pretty subtle bait overall. Now I do like the size 14, a little bit bigger profile, pushes a little bit more water. And then Rapala now is just a bunch of awesome colors that they came out with here the last few years. Big selection. This one here, Voodoo Haze, is one of my favorites. Caught some really nice fish on this one this morning. But they're not just for trolling. Like, we were casting these baits this morning, but there's a couple modifications again you can make to these to get them to perform a little bit better. And one thing that I did this morning with these baits, due to the fact that we were fishing a little bit deeper, is taking these Storm suspension strips here. This is just small pieces of lead with a little adhesive on the back, and you can take these off and actually put them on the bottoms of your stick baits. If you guys see here, I applied one to this husky jerk here this morning, and this bait is going to naturally float to the surface. So it's really nice in the fact that if you were to get it snagged, that bait floats up nice and high. But in the scenario where we were today, we wanted to get these baits down a little bit deeper, and we wanted to keep them in front of the fish's face. So adding just one of these suspension strips or suspending strips here, got that bait to stay neutrally buoyant in the water. It held at its depths. It could sit in front of the fish. They could come up and, attack that bait, and it helps keep the depth in the retrieve with that lure as well. We want to get these baits down and keep them down and pause those baits in front of the fish. So cool little modification that makes your bait a little bit different than everybody else's.